Hi everybody, it's Roy here, Ray Roy's Rants. I just wanted to congratulate Alberta for going a little bit more to the right now. I hope Jason Kenney keeps his promise of getting rid of the carbon tax, but I really have a problem. I'm hoping that he doesn't go into the United Nations climate change with and support the federal government, but he seems to want to join Doug Ford and Pallister and Moog there to fight this carbon tax, which is
I found this on the web for Join Ramadan for Power Steering,
which is really
Check
good.
It out.
Which, by the way, is really good. I was amazed that they got the amount of seats that they got. I believe it was 63 seats to the NDP's 24 seats. The Anne McGrath there, I'm hoping, I don't know, I haven't heard the upgrades yet, but I'm hoping that Kian from the Rebel Media or Ezra Levant or somebody can Twitter me and give me an update on that. I'm really interested to see if she's not going to make it. She's a communist, or so she said. She was a communist, but she isn't now. But I was always told that a communist can't really change their stripes. I noticed that Justin Trudeau tried to do that. Now it's coming out. People gotta realize that. I'm hoping in BC that we can get a conservative in here, more of a conservative leader in here sometime. But right now we have mostly a two-party system with a little bit of the Green Party. The Green Party's got two members, which is enough right now with the way the vulnerability is in BC to keep them in power, to be kingmakers and keep the NDP in power here. I mean, the reason why all this crap is happening in BC with the carbon tax up another 5%, by the way, everybody. That's why your fuel prices, you guys keep voting, everybody in BC, you guys keep voting in the NDP. I mean, they're not going to help us. The BC, we should be voting either for the BC Conservative Party or the BC Libertarian Party. I know that the BC Conservatives were in chaos there for a while, but we have to get rid of this carbon tax in BC. It's not doing anything. I just got my GST/carbon tax check there. The carbon tax of it was only I got the whole thing was $40, and the GST was actually worth more. It was just over $100. So every 3 months I'll be getting $140, which is really not very good. I mean, you could cut taxes and make more money that way than you could getting a rebate check. Most of the time that check that I have there, I just put it. I don't know. I just get rid of it. I guess I buy a little bit of groceries and then it's gone. But the price of groceries nowadays is so high because of the carbon tax, so I don't get much for it anyways. It's not going to help anybody who's in low income or a homeless person, because by the way it goes, you'll be getting fed they'll be eating every 3 months, if that. It wasn't very much for me, and I'm a low-income person. I make under $30,000 a year, and I'm making more. I do better without that carbon tax. I don't need it. I pretty much. Sometimes I like to just give it to charity. Sorry about that. My tablet fell down. Sometimes I'm almost thinking of giving it to charity there, because it's really very minute amount that you get. it doesn't really even pay for your phone bill. It might pay for some of it, but so a lot of people have overcharges, and your hydro bill, for instance, it won't even pay for that. So it might help a bit, but it's only going to happen every 3 months. Your hydro bill, depending on how you have it set up, is every month. Your phone bill is every month. Your food you eat every week. People get more. Go get groceries. It's not going to help you there. You pay for your TV bill. You pay for your internet bill. It doesn't really help at all. So we don't need this carbon tax. It's hurting us at the pump. Whatever people are getting for cash back is hitting us at the pump. So you're actually not getting anything out of it. I mean, it used to be revenue neutral, whereas they would give you a check and everything, but which would all be offset by other things there. But now it's not like that. I mean, your grocery bills are going to go up because the truckers have to charge more for fuel because the fuel prices go up because of the carbon tax, and everybody's clothing bill and all your luxury stuff that gets hauled in there will be all going up in price because of this carbon tax, and we don't need it. We also don't need to join the United Nations climate change. The United Nations Climate Change 2030 agenda there, and the Paris climate change. If they could be the same thing, because we don't have a lot of global warming happening in Canada at all. I mean, Patrick Moore, the former Greenpeace, and got a PhD in the exact same thing that David Suzuki has a PhD in, agrees. We need the carbon dioxide, the CO2 in the air, which is 2 part oxygen, 1 part carbon. You get rid of the carbon, people are going to die. There's not going to... you get rid of CO2, we're going to die. There won't be enough oxygen. I mean, it's just not going to happen at all. And he also made the case, Patrick Moore made the case that there's other areas where carbon dioxide was more, but the earth was cooler through history. And where we had less carbon dioxide, the earth was actually hotter going through history. I mean, if you want to know more about it, go to Patrick Moore there. He popped on Twitter a while back there. I think his handle is EcoSense. And he used to be a former Greenpeace activist back in the 70s. And he left because he said they got too radical. He agrees that oil should be pumped through pipelines. We need pipelines. It's the ethical way of pumping oil without causing damage there. He doesn't think they should be running on train tracks, which I agree with too. He likes the liquefied natural gas there because it's safe. We need this. He understands that we need this stuff to help us, to help our economy and to keep our fuel going in Canada. So he's so right on that. I encourage people to go find him on Twitter, or even go to YouTube and type up some of his things on YouTube. He's got some really good town halls and things on there that when he's talking to people, he's actually being challenged by other people, and he does great work. Anyways, I'd like to wish Jason Kenney, congratulations, Jason Kenney, but you're going to be being held accountable by the people of Alberta now, and they don't like people who go back on their word. They don't like it like that. You better keep your promises. Make five promises that you're going to keep, so that so that people will stick with him, because you will lose them if you start lying a lot. Look what's happening in the federals, in the federals right now with the liberals. They're in chaos. So they're in chaos, and I hate to say this, but Andrew Scheer's not much better. He's like I said, he wants to join the United Nations climate change. He voted with the liberals on that. They signed on to it. They said it's non-binding, but what makes them think that they can't slip a little thing in, a little piece of legislator in there that will make it binding? I mean, he keeps saying that he's going to cut the carbon tax or get rid of the carbon tax, but you can't cut the carbon tax or get rid of the carbon tax without joining the. You can't cut carbon tax if you're going to be part of this climate change thing. You gotta. I mean, my God, there's no other way of doing it. If there's other ways of doing it, then great. But there is no other way of doing it. But what they want to try and basically they say that it's just a tax grab is what it is. It's just a tax grab, and the carbon tax is a tax grab, and it's coming off of hard-earned working people who work hard to make a living and try and get ahead, and they can't do that because they got to they got to pay this bloody carbon tax on everything. I don't understand why people don't see this. I mean, they're complaining and they're whining the price of fuel is so big. I keep telling everybody, well, it's that party that you guys voted for that wanted the carbon tax. You guys voted in the Liberal government, and that's what you get. You guys voted in the BC NDP, and that's what you get. I'm not putting any blame. I'm not going to make the BC Liberals blameless either, because it was Gordon Campbell who first put in the carbon tax. It was at 1.2% when he did that, and it was only supposed to go up to about 5 or 6% at revenue neutral. Now, and I knew that this was going to happen. I even emailed my Liberal MLA at the time, or I even emailed a Liberal MLA at the time, and asked them, why would you do this? How do you know that how do you know that the previous government's not going to go higher than that? And they just said, thank you for emailing me. We got your concerns and all this yada yada, but they never answered the question. I knew this was going to happen though. Anyways, I'm hoping that we can get the People's Party of Canada into power in Canada, because they're the only ones that want to go, that are going to go against the United Nations climate change. Both, and Maxime Bernier said it in both English and in French, the same thing. And and the PPC will not kick out the rebel media. They will not kick out the rebel media. They're not going to take money from special interest groups like the dairy cartel, like all those big, like SNC Lavalin and all those big companies. They can donate all they want, but they're not going to get special treatment or special tax cuts or exempted from things. They're going to be treated just like everyone else. Party is actually really good for the Indigenous people and the First Nations too, because it lets the Indigenous people get right involved. Because I think that this party is going to be for one of the very first things I think it's going to do is actually go into the reserves and do town hall meetings with the Indigenous and First Nations and work with them on this, because I know that there's a lot of First Nations out there that want pipelines, and I know that there's a lot of First Nations people there that want to get off the reserves and work and go to work. They can't do that under a Liberal government or an NDP government. Name me one thing name me something. Can anybody in the First Nations name anything that the NDP and the Liberals have done good for the First Nations? I mean, all they did was they did stuff. They gave them free money to stay on the reserves. They they were paying the First Nations kids to go to school. The kids were getting paid to go to school, and everything there to try and get education instead of doing it the old-fashioned way like everybody else and just actually get up and go to school. They were trying to keep these kids in the school to learn, but they weren't doing it that way. Now the First Nations are starting to wake up to this, and they're starting to ask questions, and that's a good idea. And I think that this is the perfect time for the People's Party of Canada and the candidates like Jennifer Clark should be going to the reserves around Nanaimo that are going to vote for her and do town hall meetings in the reserves. That's just my advice here. I gave this advice to my members of our EDA too about this, and I'm willing to even book a hall in the Powell River area when it's ready to happen, because we can go right in there and we can talk to them. We'll be able to have a town hall meeting. They'll be able to ask questions. Sure, some of them might get upset with us or whatever there, but we're willing to ask the questions. Willing to ask the questions there about that. Maxime Bernier is not going to shy away from these questions. Not like Andrew Scheer, who literally was running and hiding from the CBC when they asked a question about the rebel media some of their members being on the rebel media. Instead of attacking the CBC for their anti-conservative values and their racist values, he runs and says that he's ordered it's their opinion, and then he goes and he orders his people not to talk to the rebel media. The rebel media. So Maxime Bernier doesn't have that problem. He'll go to most of the radio stations around and talk to them, whether they agree with him or not. They try to challenge him, he hits back. I like that. We need somebody with guts to do stuff like that. So, anyways, I'm going to sign off. This is my Ray Roy's ranting here until next time. Hopefully I'll try and get on more. I'm sorry I haven't been on in a while. Wow, I've just been really busy. I went back to work, and I got sick with the flu there for a while, but I decided to come back on today and talk about this and a little bit about the United Conservative Party of Alberta there. Sure, I'm from BC, but I lived in Alberta for at least a year and a half, almost 2 years. And I know a little bit about Alberta. I know a little bit about Alberta. I know what the people are like there. I always used to think Alberta was the Texas of Canada. And and just so you know, that's a good compliment, Alberta. All right, I hope. This is Ray Roy's Rants signing off.